Hey there, Alex Kidman. And Samsung's just announced its Samsung Galaxy S21 series, including the flagship Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra. And ahead of that launch, I had the opportunity for a limited quantity of hands-on time here in Sydney, Australia. Now, I should point out that I'm doing my actual commentary as a voiceover. That's for two reasons. One, because I was in a room full of very, very noisy journalists. But two, because I was wearing a mask, and that does kind of muffle your voice a lot. But it's a good idea in a crowded space like this. Wear your masks, people. Also, while I'm lecturing you, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Every little bit helps. And of course, I'm obliged to say that it's YouTube law by now. Now, when I say limited, I had an hour. It was within a hotel room, and there were all sorts of things that I couldn't actually test. So while there's some impressive processor specifications and it's 5G capable, it's got a 5,000 milliamp battery, I couldn't really check out too much of that kind of stuff. But what I could do was get a bit of hands-on time to appreciate the new design, the way it works with the S Pen, and especially the cameras. So let's get into it. So what we're looking at here is a 6.8-inch dynamic AMOLED display that goes up to 120 Hz. Now, Samsung's had 120 Hz screens for a while now. This is just another one, although there's quite a wide range on that screen, and it handles it dynamically depending on the content. Again, didn't get a lot of time to run every game, every bit of video that I might have liked through it, but it looks fine. The curved design is one of those you'll either love it or hate it kind of things, I guess. At launch for most retailers in Australia, there's really only two colours. I can't say I love the black, it's a bit basic and it's certainly a fingerprint magnet, but it's also not too kind of out there in the way that, for example, the Phantom Violet is on those smaller S21 and S21 Plus phones. Again, tastes may vary, and Samsung Australia will have a few distinct variants that it only sells online as well, and down the track we might see a few more fancy colours there too. Now, the other big thing with this is the first Galaxy S phone that comes with S Pen support, and so Samsung handed me an S Pen, handed me an S20, and yeah, look, it works. I'm not a huge S Pen fan, to be honest with you, but it's certainly functional with some big limitations, and the two big ones that really strike me are that there's no space within the body of the phone itself to store the S Pen, as there is with a Note, which is going to make it a lot easier to lose it, but also you don't actually get the S Pen with the phone itself. Now, I sort of get again, I'm not a big fan, so would I want an S Pen unnecessarily? Maybe not, but it doesn't feel like a big thing for me for them to bundle with their most expensive phone. They will sell a case, which I'm showing off here, which will also work with that and provide you that storage space. So that is one way around that, as long as you like that particular case, of course. The big story here, though, is that camera array. So while the S21 and S21 Plus share the same triple lens array, you get a quad lens setup plus laser autofocus on the S21 Ultra. So the primary lens is a 108 megapixel wide camera, and then there's a 12 megapixel ultra wide. And they're joined by a pair of dual telephoto lenses, both 10 megapixel, one 3 times optical zoom, the other 10 times optical zoom. And what all of that adds up to is a fairly flexible little system. Now, again, somewhat limited by time and somewhat limited by the fact that I couldn't actually take it outside the hotel room. So all I could really do was shoot around that room. Now, they've done a few interesting things here. So they've improved the single take feature. Now, single take was something that came in on the Galaxy S20 range last year. And the idea was that it fired off all the lenses. You just pointed it at your subject, it was moving, or you moved around it. And it took a variety of video and stills and then gave them all to you. So you could pick the ones that you liked the best. You wouldn't necessarily miss that classic moment. And if you didn't have a whole bunch of photo editing skills or video editing skills, it'd do a few fun things with them there. Single take seems to be a bit better. It took a lot more stills than it did last year. And that was one of my criticisms of single take last year, that you just got a lot of video and not as many stills as I would have liked. You still can't tell it, I only want stills or video, but it seems to get the balance a bit better. So this is me just going around a plant. Again, not the most exciting subject, but the end results were actually pretty nice. I can totally see the benefit here. I couldn't hugely test its low light performance aside from a single shot into a cupboard, which didn't really tell me all that much. But what I could do was test out its zoom capability. Now, Samsung's sticking with this idea of space zoom, and space zoom goes up to 100 times hybrid zoom. Now, this was something that, again, they had on the S20 Ultra and last year's Note phones as well, or the Note Ultra went up to 100 times as well, I should say. And there again, look, it was an impressive kind of number, but the results were not great. And everyone's extreme zoom length last year was pretty awful. Samsung's promising a thing it calls Zoom Lock, which should use AI to more intelligently smooth out those extreme zoom images. So I kind of put that to the test, just pointed it at Sydney Harbour to see what it could do. And look, for basic wide and ultra wide and even your basic zoom distances, certainly up to 10, because that's obviously its optical length for that secondary lens, everything is fine and actually really quite capable. And even up to 30, it's pretty good. I was actually pretty impressed with the small quantity of testing that I could do. Punch it up to 100 though, and yeah, look, that's not a great photo. It's blurry and it's pretty poor. Now, Samsung did say that I was using a pre-production model, so maybe the final model will get better. That kind of AI stuff you generally can improve on in software over time. So there's scope for improvement here, but on the surface at first glance, yeah, 100 times space zoom still not great. Up to 30 times and maybe a little bit pushier than that could be really good. I'm keen to get my hands on one of these for some more genuinely in the wild testing to see how it goes. I also rather liked the director's view. Now, this is a very clumsy view of me actually trying the director's view. The idea here is that if you're shooting video, it will show you what each of the lenses can see. And that way, you can do that kind of TV production thing where you go, right, well, that's the framing I want for my shot, so I'll just flick to that other lens. I'm not doing a good job of it here, but the concept is solid. I can see where it could be really, really useful. So what are the things that I don't like about this particular phone on first glance? Well, as I said, the black is a bit ordinary and it's a total fingerprint magnet. While I like the new flattened camera bump, the way that contour goes around the side, the fact of the matter is it's still a 6.8-inch phone. It's still a big, big boy of a phone, and some people will love that, some people won't. A lot of the features that are in this are in those cheaper S21 and S21 Plus phones, and those are smaller, especially the S21, so I suspect a lot of people will go there. The big reason, of course, to pick this particular phone up is the camera. So far, I'm moderately impressed, but I really want to put it to more testing. Anyway, that's my first look at the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra. What do you think? Are you keen for Samsung's new flagship? Or are you going to wait and see what it can do? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and of course, don't forget to hit like and subscribe.